Personality, people development, wise response to change, and the ability to move others towards a shared purpose. So at the heart of effective leadership, there are three major realities that we are going to look at. And today I'm focusing on three of them. I'm going to say three things tonight. The first thing I'm going to say is that effective leadership is dynamic. The second thing I'm going to say tonight is that effective leadership is human-centric. And the third thing I'm going to say tonight is that effective leadership requires multiple competencies. So therefore, these truths will help us understand why do some leaders remain relevant, trusted, and impactful, while others remain rigid, disconnected, and ineffective. So stay with me as we look at these three critical factors: that effective leadership is dynamic, effective leadership is human-centric, and effective leadership requires multiple competencies. In the end, we will then look at the three key approaches that can be used by modern leaders as they embark on becoming better leaders in their day. The first thing I want to say is that effective leadership is dynamic. So leadership is not static. It is not a fixed formula. It is not what you would call a one-size-fits-all practice. Effective leadership is dynamic because people change, organizations change, culture changes, the crises change, expectations change. So a leader who cannot adjust will eventually become irrelevant. So, but before then, I want to say three things about leadership. Number one is that leadership is a journey. It unfolds over time. It grows through exposure, experience, through challenges, through reflection. So effective leaders do not assume they have arrived. They keep learning, they keep refining, they keep adapting, and they keep growing. Number two, leadership is also a responsibility. It's not merely the enjoyment of authority. It is the burden of stewardship. So it requires then sensitivity to context. It requires readiness to respond to the shifting realities. Because what worked yesterday may not work today. What succeeded in one environment may fail in another environment. Therefore, leadership is dynamic, and that is why throughout history you will notice that the leadership has evolved over time. For example, before the 1940s, the people thought that leaders are born, that leaders are not made, and therefore one became a leader by divine design. It was meant only for select few with unusual ability, unusual strength, or even divine favor. So then under this view, leadership was seen primarily as something inherited or gifted. Then when we came to the 1940s and 1950s, those who are trying to understand leadership moved from that theory to what they call the trait theory, that shifted the discussion from destiny to characteristics. So the focus now became on the qualities that leaders possessed. So they argued that there are certain traits that leaders have: confidence, intelligence, decisiveness, courage, emotional stability. And so the focus was, let us look for those characteristics that define who leaders ought to be, so that when we see those leaders, then we can be able to know them. However, what we noted is that that was abandoned because they could not pin down to specific characteristics that could define leaders without necessarily finding themselves in a challenge. And so the movement towards the understanding the dynamic nature of leadership now went to study the behaviors. So they moved from who leaders are to what leaders do. So they said leadership has got behaviors, has got patterns, has got styles. And these styles can be observed. These styles can be studied. These styles can be learned. So at this time, it was about the practicality, and they said effective leadership can be taught. And so that is where we came up with, or they came up with the issues of leadership styles. Later, from 1960s going forward, we see the development of what we call situational leadership. And the situational leadership said this simply: the context defines who the leader is. And so what makes a leader effective is the ability to respond to the demands of a given situation. So environment, followers, circumstances, timing, all those played a major role in shaping the effectiveness of a leader. And so the situation that the leader found himself then became the key issue. Then came the 1990s. In 1990s, we see two types of leadership that develop, looking at how dynamic leadership has been over time. And we had transactional leadership and transformational leadership. And in these two, leadership was seen as an interactional process involving the leader, the followers, the situation, the context, and the wider system. Transformational leaders focused on inspiring people, motivating people, so that in the end they will do something that will cause renewal or turnaround or a fresh direction. So transformational leaders, the aim was to shift people. The aim was to bring people to a point where they can imagine a bigger future, while at the same time doing something because they have been inspired to do it. Transactional leadership on its part was focusing on authority, structure, rewards, sanctions. So followers feared because if they did not act in certain ways, then they would be punished. And so these leaders would rely on authority, their personal authority or titular authority, to get motivation, either punishment or rewards. So people perform certain tasks and receive certain outcomes because of either punishment or rewards. Now, as we come to the end of, from 2000 now to date, modern leadership understanding is moving towards shared leadership, collective leadership, collaborative leadership, and servant leadership. And so today, people are focusing more on inclusivity, participation, empowerment of teams. So leadership does not reside in one person alone. It is increasingly being seen as something that can be distributed around many people. And so the argument is that effective leadership must continue being flexible, thoughtful, and responsive. So dynamic nature of leadership means that the leader has to continually read the times. The leader has to respond wisely to the context. The leader has to adjust their style without compromising their values. A leader has to remain teachable in the changing seasons. And so a leader who refuses to grow will eventually struggle to lead a growing people. And a leader who cannot adapt will be overtaken by the changing realities. So we are saying that effective leadership is dynamic because leadership lives in as a movement. And that is why my quick overview of how leadership has developed over the years helps you to see the dynamic nature of leadership. And so Before I proceed, let's hear a little about what Nairobi Pentecostal Bible College does in developing Christian leaders in different parts of this country. And we'll be back after this.
Elevate your knowledge about God? Are you looking for a school where you can elevate your knowledge about God? Nairobi Pentecostal Bible College is the best option for you.
We have programs in counseling, psychology. We have programs in Christian ministry. We have programs in biblical and theological studies. We are just about to embark on the May intake, and we are offering half scholarship to every person that is going to be entering in the full-time program in their first term in the month of May.
For more info, visit www.npbc.co.ke or call us through 075-456-9687 or 074-090-9222. Send us an email through admin@npbc.co.ke. NPBC, Nurturing Potential, Building Character.
Great. After understanding about what Nairobi Pentecostal Bible College is doing, let us go to the second point tonight. Effective leadership is not just dynamic, but it is also human-centric. When we say human-centric, we are saying that it is about people. Systems matter, strategy matters, performance matters, even structure matters. But at the center of all leadership are human beings. And so this is what we say, that organizations utilize or fall through people. Ministries will either flourish or decline through people. Vision is carried by people. You know, the Bible says in Proverbs 29 verses 18, where there is no vision, a people perish. Sometimes I bring the reverse of that and I say, where there is no people, vision perishes. So vision is carried by people. Culture is shaped by people. Execution is done by people. That means a leader who ignores people, misunderstands people, or mishandles people will eventually weaken the mission itself. And so when we are talking about human-centric leadership, we are saying that the leader must recognize that people are not tools to be used. They are lives to be led, developed, protected, and empowered. And so you've got to build environments of trust. You've got to create safety in relationships and in conversations. People should not feel that leadership is a threat. They should feel that leadership is a source of direction, a source of stability, a source of fairness, and a source of growth. And you know that will require some ethics. So a leader must be morally grounded, because without ethics, power can become very dangerous. Without ethics, authority can become very manipulative. Without ethics, leadership can lose credibility. So strong leadership is always tied to integrity, fairness, and responsible stewardship. And so human-centric leadership empowers people. They do not suffocate them. They do not centralize everything around themselves. They do not lead in a way that makes everyone dependent on them for every decision. Instead, they develop others, they delegate meaningfully, and they create room for initiative. Empowered teams become very productive because people perform better when they feel trusted, valued, and responsible. Another mark of human-centric leadership is what we call belonging. People will thrive when they feel seen, heard, respected, or even included. And so effective leaders build connection. They nurture a sense of shared identity. They help people feel that they matter, not just that they are present. And so human-centric leadership also listens well. It remains open to new ideas, doesn't rush to judgment. It creates space for others to speak. So mature leaders do not assume that they always know best. They listen deeply. They ask questions carefully. They judge wisely. And this kind of leadership becomes very important, especially in times of confusion, in times of tension, in times of conflict, or in times of transition. So in such moments, people need more than instructions. They need reassurance. They need clarity. They need empathy. They need wise guidance. This human-centric leader will do three things very well. The first thing a human-centric leader does very well is what we call sensing. A human-centric leader is a good sensor. They detect issues early. They notice moral problems. They notice conflict signals. They notice whether the team is getting fatigued. They notice confusion, whether we have confusion or resistance. They even notice emerging opportunities. So this human-centric leader is a good sensor. He senses. Number two, the human-centric leader also makes sense of what is happening. So he does not just sense, but he also makes sense. To make sense means interpret what is happening. He's able to clarify the issue. He's able to identify the root causes. He's able to guide people towards understanding. And the final thing that a human-centric leader does, he acts. He creates condition for success. So he provides direction, he invites input, he removes the barriers, and he leads people towards meaningful progress. And hear this, and don't forget this. To become a human-centric leader is not weakness. It is not indecisiveness. It is not people-pleasing. It is disciplined leadership that understands that people are central to progress. I was talking to my MA class, and we got to a point in our class, Dynamics of Christian Organizations. We got to a point where we were talking about how leaders relate to power. And this is what I say to them. I want to repeat it again in the leadership room, that leaders become more powerful when they give the power away. Listen to that, very powerful. When you give your power away, that power is multiplied, especially when you have loyal people. When you give power away, you don't become weak. So the more you empower more people, you empower more teams, the more you become more powerful. So human-centric leadership is not weakness. It is not indecisiveness. It is central to progress. Before we come to the third point, I want you to know that is why training is very critical for leadership. Nairobi Pentecostal Bible College is offering courses that helps you to become better developed as a reader. If you are just joining us now, let's hear what NPBC has for us in the month of May as we think about leadership. What makes leaders effective? Listen to this.
Are you looking for a school where you can elevate your knowledge about God? Nairobi Pentecostal Bible College is the best option for you.
We have programs in counseling psychology. We have programs in Christian ministry. We have programs in biblical and theological studies. We are just about to embark on the May intake, and we are offering half scholarship to every person that is going to be entering in the full-time program in their first term in the month of May.
For more info, visit www.npbc.co.ke or call us through 075 456 9687 or 074 090 9222. Send us an email through admin@npbc.co.ke. NPBC. Nurturing potential, building character.
Are you looking for a school where you can elevate your knowledge about God? Nairobi Pentecostal Bible College is the best option for you.
We have programs in counseling psychology. We have programs in Christian ministry. We have programs in biblical and theological studies. We are just about to embark on the May intake, and we are offering half scholarship to every person that is going to be entering in the full-time program in their first term in the month of May.
For more info, visit www.npbc.co.ke or call us through 075 456 9687 or 074 090 9222. Send us an email through admin@npbc.co.ke. NPBC. Nurturing potential, building character.
Are you looking for a school where you can elevate your knowledge about God? Nairobi Pentecostal Bible College is the best option for you.
We have programs in counseling psychology. We have programs in Christian ministry. We have programs in biblical and theological studies. We are just about to embark on the May intake, and we are offering half scholarship to every person that is going to be entering in the full-time program in their first term in the month of May.
For more info, visit www.npbc.co.ke or call us through 075 456 9687 or 074 090 9222. Send us an email through admin@npbc.co.ke. NPBC, Nurturing Potential, Building Character.
Wonderful. I now come to the final point that I want to make tonight. Effective leadership requires multiple competencies. Remember, I have said one, effective leadership is dynamic. It takes more than one competency. That's what I'm saying now. No leader succeeds on one strength alone. Leadership is too complex to be sustained by a single gift or one style or one ability. Effective leadership requires multiple competencies. So a leader may be a visionary but poor at execution. Another may be operationally strong but very weak in relationship. Another may be highly intelligent but emotionally disconnected. Another may be inspiring in public but very unethical in private. None of these imbalances can produce effective leadership. So strong leadership then demands a blend of capacities. For example, we have got visionary competencies, the ability to see ahead, think strategically, define direction. We have got managerial competencies, knowing how to organize work, monitor progress, create order. We have got relational competencies, the ability to know how to listen, how to communicate, how to connect, how to resolve conflict. We've got ethical competencies, the desire or the commitment to trustworthiness, responsibility, being morally credible. We have got what you'd call adaptive competencies, knowing how to respond to changing realities. And we've got what we call developmental competencies, keeping growing, helping others grow, valuing things like training, coaching, feedback, and continuous improvement, and the ability to collaborate with others. In simple terms, what are we saying? That a leader needs a head, a heart, and a heart. A head that thinks clearly, a heart that relates wisely, and hearts that act effectively. So a leader must know what to do, how to work with people, and how to get things done. What are the practical implications? If the leadership is dynamic, then the leaders must continually learn. If leadership is human-centric, leaders must value people deeply. If leadership requires multiple competencies, then leaders must develop broadly and intentionally. So the question that you should ask yourself is, am I growing in these areas? I want to finish by looking at 3 approaches that strengthen this kind of things that I've asked you to embrace tonight. The first one is what I call adaptability, the capacity to align with changing dynamics. Because leadership is dynamic, then adaptability must be there. The ability to respond wisely to change without losing purpose. That you can read the environment, you can discern what the movement requires, and then you can adjust to the methods that you see. The second one is authenticity. being real in a world that is hidden with facade. So because leadership is human-centric and you're going to be dealing with people, then leaders must be authentic. People do not only follow skill, they follow credibility. They trust leaders who are genuine, transparent, consistent. And so authenticity means leading without pretense, being honest about realities, open to feedback, and grounded in truth rather than image. You know, we live in times when image has become everything, and there is a lot of performance, there is a lot of facade, and so there is a cry for authentic leadership. So authenticity is very, very key. Adaptability is also very key. And finally, we have what we call accountability. And I'm talking about accountability to two things. The first one is accountability to self. Leaders must live under accountability to self. I'm talking about examination of character, examination of discipline, examination of your motives. I'm talking about examination of your habits. I'm talking about examination of your conduct. But accountability must also extend to systems. Strong leaders do not rely on personal sincerity. They must build structures that support transparency, responsibility, feedback, review. So leadership becomes safer and stronger when the leader is accountable to both himself, and the system. So as I conclude, what makes leaders effective? Number one, effective leaders are dynamic enough to respond to change. Number two, effective leaders are human enough to value people. Number three, effective leaders are competent enough to combine vision, ethics, relationship, adaptability, and execution. So what do we mean then? Leadership is not merely about holding a title or occupying an office. It's about creating a movement. It's about guiding people with wisdom. It's about stewarding responsibility with integrity. It's about building others while advancing purpose. And so the most effective leaders are not those who know everything, but those who keep growing. Effective leaders are not those who dominate people, but they are those who develop people. Effective leaders are not those who depend on one's strength, but they are those who build balanced capacity for lasting impact. I want to end this session with some questions for you. In what ways has your leadership become rigid instead of dynamic? Do people feel safe, heard, or valued under your leadership? Which leadership competency do you need to strengthen most at this stage? Are you leading with authenticity, or are you just merely maintaining appearance? How well do you adapt to changing times? What systems of accountability are existing around your leadership? Are you raising followers only, or are you developing other leaders? Are you helping people flourish, or are you just helping the task to get done? What adjustments must you make to become a more effective leader? And if those are a lead described my leadership today, what would they say? Would they say, I am an effective leader? At that point, we come to the end of the leadership room tonight. We have been talking about effective leadership. This is a powerful program that is convened by myself and the Nairobi Pentecostal Bible College, a college that is committed to raise Christian leaders, and they have a surprise for you in the month of May. As we hear what they have for us, I say goodbye to you and see you again next week at a time like this, 8 p.m. and let us continue the conversation on leadership. May you become an effective leader in Jesus' name. Let's hear from NPBC.
Are you looking for a school where you can elevate your knowledge about God? Nairobi Pentecostal Bible College is the best option for you.
We have programs in counseling, psychology. We have programs in Christian ministry. We have programs in biblical and theological studies. We are just about to embark on the May intake, and we are offering half scholarship to every person that is going to be entering in the full-time program in their first term in the month of May.
For more info, visit www.npbc.co.ke or call us through 075 456 9687 or 074 090 9222. Send us an email through admin@npbc.co.ke. NPBC, nurturing potential, building character.